Hello and welcome to our channel. My name is Stephanie and together with my friend Danielle, we clean people's homes for free. In today's video, we are cleaning this Biohazard kitchen, which was home to a million flies, and we even find a sneaky little mouse later on in the video. In today's video, I have a surprise for you all. We have a special guest joining us today, Danielle.
Hi!
Since Danielle is joining us today, we thought we'd do the voiceover a little bit differently. Usually I agonise over what I'm going to say, I spend ages on it and I delete things and re-say it. So what we're going to do today instead is myself and Danielle are just going to watch the video over together and have a little bit of a conversation and with each other as well as with you guys. But just before we get started, I want to mention that I am a little bit breathless today, so I apologise for all the breathy sounds. I know some people have misophonia, I think that's the word, and don't like the noise, but I do have asthma and I've been swimming and we're sitting doing this voiceover in a car, so it's just a little bit, I'm just a bit breathless.
I did not know that there was a word for not liking the noise of someone breathing.
Yeah, so in the video that we were at with the girl that had the poor childhood, I mentioned about not liking the sound of polystyrene, and quite a lot of people commented saying about the misophonia, and so I looked into it, and that is like a strong aversion to certain sounds. So you know that I don't like polystyrene and I don't like hearing people eat or like cutlery on a plate.
Yeah.
Well, some people are very sensitive to people breathing, so that's yes. So a few people
that was
commented.
Just women to their husbands.
Well, when I was pregnant with Lily, my youngest, I couldn't sit in the same room as Pete, my husband, when he was eating. I had to send him away because usually I just deal with the noise. But when I was pregnant, no chance.
Everything's heightened when you're pregnant.
Yeah. So it's good that you're joining today because a lot of people have questioned my accent. So anybody that is new here, we are in Fife, Scotland, but I'm originally from the northeast of England, so I have a very mixed accent, and people have really wanted us to go full Scottish.
Yeah, and I am Scottish, so we can go full Scottish.
Yeah. And you're originally from Edinburgh?
I'm from Edinburgh, yeah, and lived in Fife for 11, 12 years now. Yeah, well, no, it'd be more like 12, 13.
About the same amount of time that I've lived here.
About the same amount of time we've known each other.
Yeah, that as well. So currently in the video right now, we are just emptying out all of the rubbish, and when you will have noticed that when the video started, I wasn't wearing any PPE. It's because I was waiting for Danielle to arrive because the house was a lot worse than what we were expecting, and the smell, we really, really struggled with the smell in this house.
The smell was very strong.
Even with the masks, we could still smell everything. And when it's not clear on camera, but when I say there were a million flies, I mean there
were so many, and on all the surfaces there was just loads of dead ones, covering whole surfaces so you couldn't actually see the surface underneath.
Yeah, I think the windowsill was the worst, and I don't even think we actually got to that in this video.
Top of the cupboards were really bad as well.
Oh, I'd never seen that. So I think the reason is because in the video you can see in the right corner there is a door, and that door leads into a little entryway and then to outside, and outside was where the rubbish bins were. And at some point a bag has obviously been put down next to this door to be taken outside, and then it's just never happened. And so what had happened was they just started putting more and more rubbish, and then at some point they stopped putting it in bags and were just chucking.
You can kind of see to the right now it's just rubbish, and a lot of it was food containers that still had food in it. Some of it was open, some of it wasn't, so that really generated to the amount of flies that there were. And the smell.
Yeah. And a bit about the resident's story in this video. So the resident that contacted us has, I think, fibromyalgia. Yeah. I can't really remember the details, but she definitely has mobility problems and chronic pain. And then she has 2 older children who both have autism as well, so they're not able really to assist her. And then she originally told me that she was single, a single parent. However, when we came to the property, she did have a partner. So I don't know if that was a new relationship, if she just didn't feel comfortable sharing the full story. But either way, she did say on that day that he also has disabilities. And so it has just been a build up over time of mostly rubbish. I think maybe as well there's some compulsive spending going on because of the amount of food.
Yeah, there was a lot of food. A lot of it was out of date as well, but there was just cupboards upon cupboards of tinned food.
Yeah.
So many tins. I lost count eventually, and I was trying to organise them so they were categorised like beans and not rice, like carrots and stuff like that. But there was just so many that you couldn't even categorise them because there was just not enough space.
Yeah, and like when we were removing all of this rubbish as well, like you mentioned, there was so many full like ready meals and stuff that have never even been opened, but then they've obviously just bought so much and then it's been chucked on this pile and started
yeah, it's like
to
they've
rot.
not even managed to put it away yet, and then eventually it's just went bad and been left with the rest of the rubbish.
Yeah, and so when we were removing the rubbish, what did you struggle with the most?
The smell, but then also like the rotten stuff that was all like what's the right word, squishy and wet, and that was really quite a struggle, I think, for both of us.
Yeah, so that was definitely the thing that I struggled with most, was the wet rubbish, because I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the texture or the smell or just the leakage. But that definitely made me gag. And I'm actually surprised that you didn't mention that there were full-sized adult diapers that had been soiled.
I feel like my memory has blocked that out because I forgot about that. I really struggled with that, which is surprising because I used to be a carer, so it's not like I haven't dealt with like elderly and that kind of thing. So
I think it's a bit different because they were right at the back and at the bottom of the pile.
There for a long time.
So they kind of So I think it's good that there's two of us, because
I think, do you know what, it made it easy to understand how things can become so overwhelming, because even for myself, like clearing it out, at some points I would be looking and being like, it didn't even seem like we'd got through a lot, what we'd been there for ages. And it was just like, eventually you were feeling like, oh my god, I've not even done anything, we've still got all this, and it was overwhelming at points just for us doing the kitchen.
Yeah, because originally the plan was to do the whole house, and then we walked into this house and we were like, oh no, I don't even think we're going to get the kitchen finished in the time that we had. And I mean, we were there from, I think it was 10 a.m. until, was it like 4:30?
4:30,
yeah. But we did break for lunch for about maybe an hour. But yeah, and in that time we don't even actually finish the kitchen, but we do make great progress. And we had planned to go back a few days later to get the kitchen finished, and unfortunately the resident messaged me that evening and they had suffered a loss in the family and were having to travel to England for a funeral. So I just kind of says, well, we're here, reach out to us when you're ready. So we're not going to contact this family again, or maybe we will if we don't hear anything in a couple of months.
But we'll kind of wait for them to get in touch with us, as grieving a loss can impact people in different ways, and everyone takes their time to deal with their own grief.
Yeah, and I am kind of expecting that if and when we do return to the property, I wouldn't be surprised if it had returned to that condition, especially if they're dealing with grief on top of all of that. So it was in this corner is where the adult diapers were, and in that little entryway is where you see Danielle freak out over a little mouse. So Danielle is the spider catcher of the team, and I will be the one that deals with the mice, although we didn't actually find this one again after the fact.
That it darted away and we never found it again. So,
but we did have to inform the resident that they had a mouse problem. Although we did only find the one, and it was near the door, so it could have been possible that it's just coming from just outside.
I was actually a little bit surprised that we did only find one. I was preparing myself to come across Mice, or even worse, a rat.
Yeah, I'm just glad it was a mouse.
Yeah.
I even was like with you, are you sure? Are you sure it's
I
a
was like, it
mouse
was
and not a
small, it
rat?
was little.
I don't know what I would have done if it was a rat, actually. Like, I'm so glad we're in the UK and we don't have to deal with cockroaches and mosquitoes.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do
I
that.
think we came across some maggots in this house quite a few times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I had just realised that we wanted to keep some of the original audio in. Like, I had slowed this bit down so you could see Danielle freak out about the mouse, but we just kind of chatted over it. I did think that this voiceover was, we were like, oh, this video is like 50 minutes long. How are we going to talk for that long? But then once we're together, we just talk
keep
rubbish.
talking.
Yeah. So, yeah, so in this bit, this is where I kind of stepped in.
Yeah, I took a step back after finding the mouse and I was like, I don't want to go back in there. So Steph went and done it, and she never came across the mouse again. So
yeah, I don't actually know what I would have done if I did, because I mean, it's not like we could catch it or anything.
yeah, I wouldn't want to.
Just had to work around it, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't want to kill it either.
So when so what we do after we collect the rubbish is Danielle moves on to sorting out the cupboards, because there was so much food on the bunkers. We were like, well, we can try and put some of that food away, but then the cupboards were all full, so you kind of had to sort them out.
Yeah, so what I did is I moved everything off the bunker that had all the piles of food that hadn't been put away, and then I kind of cleaned down that bunker to give me a clean workspace to kind of go through the cupboards.
Mm-hmm.
It did mean I would have had to clean it again, but it just made it a bit fresh, because I was actually a bit overwhelmed looking at it all. And it was you that was like, right, so clean a space and then you can kind of go through the cupboards.
Yeah, which that's something that I've learned from watching other cleaners on YouTube. Like, just clear one area so you have somewhere to work from. But I know, like, I remember you saying afterwards, you'd clean this area and then you started having to put stuff back on it, and you were like, I'm so glad I've recorded this and I have proof that that area was clean, because you did not like having to then mess it up again.
And because there was so much food, I had to actually just put some of it back on the bunker as well, so it didn't look as neat and as good as it did when I originally cleared it. Because
originally, when you were going through the food, you weren't really looking at sell-by dates. And then I think you got about halfway through and you realised something was out of date.
Yeah.
And then you thought, oh, I should go through the dates. And then I think you did a couple and then you were like, nope, not today. We just don't have time.
There would have been so much stuff. It would have took me a good hour and a half to actually go through all the food and look at the sell-by dates.
Yeah.
So I tried to keep the stuff that I knew was in date together, and all the other stuff that was questionable, like I never looked at it.
Yeah, I think
in another cupboard.
I think one of the reasons that people get overwhelmed is because they try to like declutter and tidy and clean all at once.
Yeah.
Whereas really you should, like, obviously in these kind of cases this is an extreme case, but if you were doing your own home, you wouldn't do all of that in one day. You would maybe declutter one day and then tidy and organise or clean another day. You wouldn't do everything together. So
I don't even declutter like a whole room in one day. Like I'll pick a drawer or a cupboard and just do one little thing on top of like just the daily household chores. I'll add like, okay, so I want to reorganise this cupboard.
Yeah.
So it's not so much of a task or seems like daunting or overwhelming. Like, oh my God, I've got this whole room to declutter.
So I think that's where my like paralysis comes in, because I struggle to do things like one little bit at a time. So it's all or nothing. That's it. So I can't just do a drawer or a cupboard, but I'm working on that, and I have been getting a lot better. And I do find it helpful, like when you and the girls come round and we're like, okay, let's do this today, or let's do that today. I'm like, okay, because then I can get it all done in one day. I don't have to.
How often do you declutter?
I don't even think I can answer that. I think probably I declutter clothes every few months. And I really couldn't tell you how often I declutter everything else. I've lived in that house for 3 years now, and I've decluttered like my crockery and cups and things once in that time. So I definitely should introduce it as a habit, I think.
I try and do each room every 3 months, or just like the big areas of each room every 3 months, and that kind of keeps on top of it. So then it's not such a massive task. And I've usually only just got a little bit of stuff that I can throw away that I don't use, or is broken or lost. Or
I think when I think of decluttering, the thing that always jumps to mind for me is kids' toys and kids' clothes. So, because obviously they're growing, so they need new clothes, and I have to declutter the old ones. And then kids' toys, like I only really let them have like one basket of toys, or one or two baskets. So it's easier for me to keep on top of. And because if they have too many, they just won't play with any of them. So I'm quite good at decluttering those, because you have to do that for birthdays and Christmases. And obviously I have 4 kids, so I have to do that like
constantly.
So, but as well, like my oldest daughter, when we decluttered her toys, because she doesn't really play with toys now, I put them away for my youngest. And so now, this is like 4 or 5 years later, I can now get them out and give them to her for her birthday and save some money as well. That's my plan.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I have all the dressing up dresses and the toddler Disney dolls, so I'm just going to give her those. So this is the tumble dryer that I've been cleaning probably for a while, and at some point doing this, my suit is going to split. I don't know if it has yet, but it's started to split when I was bending down. So you'll just have to excuse like it flapping around at some point. So I kind of picked this area while Danielle was doing the cupboards, and so I cleaned it, pulled it out, cleaned around it, and then I kind of cleaned all the surfaces around it and the floor before putting it back as well. We didn't actually get around to cleaning the whole floor, which is my biggest regret, because it was really greasy and slidey. And we'll kind of explain as we get to the section that this happens, but we did have a big problem later on in this video, and it resulted in us having to leave early. But I'll leave that for kind of later on to explain. And then as well, like we keep forgetting to put a degreaser in our kit. So we just have been using this Domestos Power Foam, which is actually for lime scale, but I'm not gonna lie, it is my favourite cleaner. Like, I love the foam, I love the smell, and I don't know.
Right now it's kind of our go-to product.
Yeah, so even though it's for lime scale, it worked really well with the grease in this kitchen. And then for like the really greasy things like the floor, we used just fairy liquid, or if you're in America, I think that would be Dawn dish soap.
I think the more cleans we're doing, the more we're realising, oh, we need this for our kit, or we need that for our kit while we're doing cleans. So it's one of those things you just kind of learn as you go, and you learn what you need and what you don't need, and you get tips and advice from other people. Like my mum, she has her own cleaning business, and she's given me a lot of tips and advice on certain cleaning products and what to use here and there. And
and even our commenters as well. I think in a few of our videos we've had people comment who live in this area. I think one person had said that I can't really remember the specifics, but I did screenshot the comment to look at later, was there's a cleaner that's Tesco's own brand, I think it was Tesco, and they said they live in Fife, and they said that was a really good one. So I always screenshot things and then never look at them again, so I'll try and find that comment. And as well, just while we're talking about products, we may as well like jump in now and say like a huge thank you to everybody who's been sending us products off of our Amazon wish list. I get deliveries all the time, and that's my favourite thing. Like, I love it when the postman
we are
comes.
very grateful for it, as obviously a lot of it has came out of our own pocket, and we're trying to do this as a free service, so it really does make it easier for us to keep providing a free service to people if we are also getting help with our wish list and things like our donations and stuff. We are really appreciative of everyone that's donated or bought us stuff off the wish list.
And if anybody does want to support us financially, you can find the links to our Amazon wish list, and we have a donation link as well. They will be in the description of this video and all our videos, as well as like I think in the about page. I don't know if that's what it's called on YouTube, but it's where all our information is, and our links to our other socials, although we don't really use the other socials much apart from YouTube, because I mean that's enough work for right now. I'll maybe like learn to do short form videos at some point. My 12-year-old Madison, she keeps asking if she can do like the content creation. She's like, can I be your TikTok manager? Like, No,
It was
thank you.
last time I was at yours when we were doing. She was like, "I can edit the videos for you," and we're like, "No."
It's because she keeps asking me to send her the footage. I was like, well, that was the whole problem. We couldn't send the footage to each other. That's why we had to buy a camera in the first place. So, yeah, it's nice that she wants to get involved. Oh, and speaking of the kids getting involved, they're like counting the subscriber count because they were really excited for us getting to 10,000 because I think we're at 8,700 at the time this video releases, and so they're like counting, waiting for me to hit 10,000. But they thought that when you hit 10,000, you got a bronze button. Do you know, like the trophies that you get on YouTube? Because you get a silver one at 100,000 subscribers. And so they thought you got a bronze one at 10,000. And I've looked into it, and it turns out that doesn't exist. I think they stopped that in like 2015, or it never was a thing. But now, I had wanted to get to 10,000 by my birthday in November. And Arthur, my oldest son, has said that as soon as we hit 10,000, he's going to make us a bronze play button.
That's so cute.
And he keeps talking about it. He was like, I'm going to have to do that before your birthday, Mum, because it looks like you're going to hit it like soon. I'm like, hopefully.
What are we going to do when we hit 10,000? Are we going to...
Maybe we can go live?
Oh, yeah, we could do that. Well, maybe our viewers can suggest anything that they would like us to do or like to see for when we hit 10,000.
Yeah, if you want us to go live, let us know. We can try that, but it probably will just be us, kind of like this video, just talking rubbish together.
But then it'd also give you a chance to discuss with us and join in and ask us questions, and we can answer in real time.
Yeah, because I mean we have very different styles of cleaning. So, and we have different like medical conditions, diagnoses, whatever you want to call it, which kind of result in those styles of cleaning as well. But then we also have so many similarities, so we kind of work well together. Oh, I just got a good view of my ripped suit as
It looks like you're in a dress.
I know, and it only gets worse, by the way. At one point I was like, why am I even wearing this?
To be honest, these suits, they were a saviour in the end, because the amount of stuff that could have been spilt on us or sticky stuff, we realised that when we left, because the bottom of our feet, the soles of our shoes, not our feet, the soles of our shoes were very slidey and sticky and smelly. Yeah,
I always, when I come back from a clean like this, I actually chuck my trainers as well as all my clothes in the washing machine. But as well, like later on in the video, you can see how like dirt splattered I am, because I use a scrubbing brush a lot. And so you can see how dirt splattered my suit is, and I was wearing a short sleeve t-shirt this day, so if I wasn't wearing that, I would have been covered in gunk.
All up your arms.
So this is you moving on. Well, you're doing the cupboards at the same time that I was doing that. So
that's you can't really see, but the bunker is just full of food products. And that's what I was getting overwhelmed, because I'm thinking, so how do I sort out the cupboards? On top of the cupboards, you can just see there's just loads of tins. And this is where I kind of cleared the one area,
because you didn't really have anywhere to put the stuff either. Because the only thing we'd cleared at this point was the floor, and that was still really dirty because we hadn't cleaned it. But I think in hindsight, in future, like a floor's going to need cleaned multiple times anyway. So I think as soon as we've cleared the floor, we should just clean it.
It doesn't need to be perfect. But...
because it was so dangerous for us as well.
Because it was so slippy.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned about the fact that we had to leave it like that. Apart from the small areas that I cleaned, I mean, they're probably used to it because it would have been that slidey before we arrived. But it's playing on my conscience that we left and it was still slidey. But yeah, we when you were doing this bit, I think, were you putting some of the tins on the floor, or did you manage to squeeze them?
I managed to squeeze them all in to the bunker to the left of the viewing that you can see just now, but it was a tight squeeze because there was still like dishes up there and stuff like that, but I just kind of chucked everything on.
Yeah, and dishes is something that we didn't get to in this video because I don't know, I feel like every house we've gone into we've washed dishes, and I don't even like washing dishes in my own house. So we thought we'll leave them till last, and then because we had to leave suddenly, we never got around to it. But I do think like what we did made such a huge difference. That
it definitely looked a lot better than when we started anyway. We didn't quite notice it, and at one point I went out of the room and looked in, and I was like, you know what, you can notice the difference. But definitely before and after, it was not perfect, and I think we were both not satisfied with how we left it.
Yeah. I think,
which is unfortunate, but
yeah, but I think because we were like, well, we are coming back in a few days, so it's only going to be a few days, and then the kitchen will be done, perfect. But then because that hasn't happened, it's now like playing on my mind that we left
never
it like
finished.
that. Yeah. So I do hope that the family reach out to us again and we can go back and finish this, because it's not nice conditions to be living in. But I do hope now that the doorway to outside is cleared again, that they will start putting the rubbish outside, and it's not the same patterns of behaviour that led to that build-up of the rubbish. And now that they have clean bunker space as well, they can maybe get to those dishes, or they can sort out those tins themselves. So here's hoping.
Yeah, here I had to actually use a scraper on some of the food because it was just so stuck to the bunker. And I don't even think a scurry pad or anything would have worked. It wouldn't have took it off.
Yeah.
It was so hardened.
I find that in a lot of the houses that we go into, that we always need a scraper at some point.
And you know, there was a deep fat fryer on the bunker and the air fryer, and the bunker was just oil.
Oh, although I was the one that put the deep fat fryer on the bunker.
Was it you?
Because it was on the cooker, and I moved it to put the oven spray on the bunker.
So it's Steph's
on the
fault.
cooker.
She made all the oil on the bunker.
Well, unless there was another one, because there
was a deep
was
fat
it like
fryer.
a pan? Was it a pan with like the basket inside?
So there was that, but then there was another deep fat
I didn't do that
fryer.
one. I just
and
did
then
the
there
pan.
was the air fryer, which was really greasy as well, which is uncommon for an air fryer. You can actually, what I'm cleaning right now is what was behind the air fryer, and it was almost like it had, like the smoke had burnt the wall, or not burnt the wall, marked the wall from the smoke.
Yeah, so usually with an air fryer, you have to have it away from the wall, so that it has that airflow around it. So I have an air fryer, and I keep mine on top of a wooden chopping board, and then when I'm using it, I always pull it out from the wall to use it, because mine just sits on my bunker all the time. So we didn't actually show Danielle doing all of the cupboards, because as you can kind of see, most of the view is just of her back. So, and also like my phone battery is really rubbish, and I record on my phone, and then she records with the camera, but I didn't have my charger with me that day, and so the charger that charges the like batteries for the camera is the same one that charges my phone. So we were like, okay, let's turn the camera off, and then that way we can save the battery while I charge my phone, pretty much.
Yeah, because it's basically the same thing. You can see me putting tins back in the cupboard. It doesn't get very exciting.
I don't know, I like the repetitive stuff. And I think
I would have been a lot more satisfied if I was able to categorise it. So the food, like the beans, there was carrots, there was chopped tomatoes, there was, you name it, if it comes in a tin, they had it.
Yeah.
If they were all categorised, and I would have been a lot more satisfied. And if all the labels were facing the front, and
yeah,
that's just my weird.
But that's where the progress, not perfection, comes in.
Yeah.
And I liked how you had all the packets of noodles together.
Yeah, that was the one bit I got to do.
And it's funny because when I was editing this footage, and I seen all those noodles, I was like, oh my god, that's a lot of noodles. But then literally today, my husband said, every time I go shopping, I buy noodles for you guys, and I don't think you're eating them. And he counted, and we had 13 packets of noodles. But it's because Kai, my youngest boy, I think most of our viewers know who he is, because he's popped up in our community page a couple of times, like for his birthday and stuff. So he's the 8-year-old, and he loves noodles. Like, he would live on noodles. He asks for them for breakfast, lunch, dinner, supper. He doesn't get it for all of those, but he would if he could. But obviously we've just not been eating them enough. So maybe that's not that many noodles, actually. As well, you had made a comment when we were there, because you think that they must have got a lot of this food from the food bank.
So it did look like a lot of it could have been from the food bank. I'm not sure, but because a lot of it was like mismatched. Some of it was from Asda's, some of it from Tesco's, some of it was own brand, some of it was like actually like brand stuff like Heinz. So it did look like there was maybe a variety of stuff, which happens when you get food from food banks because it's obviously donated and it's not just from one place.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there was maybe financial difficulties at some point and they've had to refer to the food bank for
Yeah.
support.
I mean, that could also be why there is such an excess of cupboard food, because
Especially like tinned tomatoes and stuff, because that's something that's like a staple in every food bank
yeah.
kind of order, if you want to call it that.
And then if they've not had like proper access in their kitchen, and then they're not able to probably make like homemade meals that you could use the chopped tomatoes for.
Also, just to clarify, if everyone doesn't know what a food bank is, if you're financially struggling, you can go to the local council. I know it's in UK. I'm not sure if it's in other parts of the world. Do you get it in America?
I think so.
Maybe something similar. And they can sort of refer you to a food bank, which you can go to. You can tell them what you need, what you don't have, and they can sort of help you out until you next get paid or whenever you're going to be in a more position to financially support yourself food-wise.
Yeah.
You can also get other stuff from them like toiletries, women products, a lot of stuff they cover. A lot of them now do clothes and stuff, so like jackets for kids and stuff like that.
And speaking of food banks, actually, I watched Flawless Cleaning Services video today. They're a UK channel. If you've not watched them, definitely go and check them out. But I think a lot of you came here from Mac, and he's also referred them, like shouted them out before, so you probably already know who they are. But anyway, they clean gardens. They're in England, and they did a video today where, because they also do paid work, but what they did was the proceeds from their paid work in this video, they went to a supermarket and they bought £500 worth of groceries and took it to a local food bank. And I seen that and I was like, okay, now I want to do that. So I was thinking that when we get, because obviously we have an admin error on our YouTube channel right now, so we're not currently monetized, but I was thinking that when we get our first like paycheck, as you call it, from YouTube, we could do something like that, like just go, and because I know our food banks are struggling right now because it's the summer holidays, so children aren't getting their school meals, so people who are struggling more right now. And I thought that would be fun. That's something that we could possibly record as well, like go shop with me or go thrift with me. And then
it's also just another way we can help support our local community along with what we're doing currently.
And maybe our video would then inspire other people to go and do it, like that video has inspired me. And also, like, he made it fun because he had half an hour, and so he went in this
so
shop.
It was like speed. What was that?
Supermarket sweep. Yeah. And he actually mentioned that. I was just about to say that. Yeah, supermarket sweep. And I was like, that would be awesome. We could take the kids. We could be like, okay, guys, here's a trolley, go, and just like, I think it would be fun.
Or we could give them like a list and each and put them into like 2 teams and be like, whoever gets everything off their list and back here by the end of it gets, I don't know, some kind of treat or something.
Yeah, although I think the supermarket staff might hate us, like causing chaos. Like,
well, as long as we tell them to be orderly and respectful of others.
I think maybe your children would
just the one.
Yeah, your child would follow that more
just
than
the
mine.
Eldest one. He's the well-behaved child.
Well, I think your youngest would be too young to do that.
She's going to be 1 in 18 days.
18 days. In my head, she's 8 months, and that's
she always has been.
I know. And do you know what? There's been a few times people have commented on one of the videos when I was doing it myself. I think it was the one I was folding all the washing, and it was because I had said you couldn't make it because of childcare, and they says, well, just bring the children, they can help with the work. And I was like, well, she's only 8 months. And then I had to go back and edit the comment because I was like, wait, no, she's 11 months. And so I had to go back and change it. But I mean, in my head, my 22-year-old brother is still 8. I must have a thing about 8, the number 8. But yeah, he's 8 in my head. So I'm like, don't grow up.
Yeah, I think some people just get stuck at an age for you, and you stick with that. What age am I? 23, 28.
I I don't even know. I feel like definitely under 25 in my head, but you're the same age as me, right? Yeah? A year younger?
How old are you?
I'm 31.
I'm 29.
29. Yeah, so but it's
2
your
years
birth.
younger.
When's your birthday?
I just had a birthday.
Oh shoot.
You know this.
Oh no. I forgot already. Right, okay. So yeah, so what I'm doing here is cleaning the microwave, and I just like that cup, by the way, I'm probably going to get comments about the fact that I keep dipping like my cloths or like scrubby things into like a cup of water, but it's because like the camera was set up next to me and it was hard to go back and forward to the sink, so I was going back and forward to the sink to refill the cup, but I just know I'm gonna get comments about dipping it into dirty water. But it was getting refreshed and the cup is stained, so it looks dirty there, but it's stained, I promise. Yeah, this bunker was so satisfying to clean. Also, we slowed the video down a little bit, so it is a bit longer. Like we sped up the collecting rubbish parts and then slowed down the cleaning parts, but some things took so long to clean. Like I think there's 10 minutes on the stove. So the last
Cooker.
Stove cooker. I kind of alternate between like Americanisms because I read so much and I watch so many American YouTubers as well that I kind of alternate. That's like Arthur though, he has an American accent.
Have you ever seen those ones that's like pronunciation of words, and people do videos and it's like how one person pronounces something and how another person pronounces it?
No, but I have watched. So like I'm not very good with names. And I never want to offend somebody. So if somebody has a name that I'm not familiar with, like
an unusual name,
then I will Google how to say it, and there's nearly always a YouTube video how to say that name. But I'm not very. I don't have like, what's the word? I'm not adept at languages. Like I took French for 8 years and can't speak a word of French. So even when I watch the video, it's like I still can't say the name. So, funny story. I had a friend at school called Aisha, right? And I met her when I started high school.
Aisha or Aisha?
Well, that's the funny story, right? So, she spoke very quickly and very quietly. And so when I asked her her name, I didn't catch it. And so I only asked her a couple more times. And I couldn't ask her again. So I just read it off her maths her maths exercise book, and it was Aisha. It was spelled Aisha. So that's what I started calling her. All through high school, me and everyone we knew called her Aisha. And about 2 years into high school, I was really good friends with her. And so I was invited back to her house where her family all call her Aisha. And I said to her, I was like, okay, have I been saying your name wrong this whole time? And she was like, yeah, but then everybody caught on, so I just rolled with it. and now I call her Aisha. I pronounce it correctly, but still everybody we know calls her Aisha. And I'm like, well, I mean, to be fair, in the town that I grew up, everybody really stresses their, like, is it vowels? Yeah, everyone really stresses the vowels, so I don't feel too bad.
When is the cut-off to how many times you ask someone to repeat themselves?
I mean, I would say
like, what? Say that again? Say it. Like, I eventually go, yeah.
See, I've done that a couple of times, but then I feel really stupid. Like, what if they said something important? I don't know. I say 3 times, and if you still don't hear them, that's on you.
Or have you ever like nodded at someone and agreed with them? They've actually asked you a question.
Yes.
Yeah, that's quite embarrassing.
And like Madison, she's started like mumbling a lot and like talking really, really quietly. But she's my daughter, so I'll ask her 100 times to repeat herself. I'm like, I just act like a really old person with her. Like, I'm like, I can't hear you. Can you come closer? So I think we've got about 10 minutes left on this video, and I poured far too much water on this stove when I was cleaning it.
I'm really enjoying watching this because obviously you've edited the video, so you've seen both mine and your footage, whereas I've not seen this. Yeah, and I probably wasn't here at this point.
Do you think we should now kind of tell them the problem that we had? I'll let you kind of explain, but don't forget about the seagulls as well.
Oh, right, okay. So when we got there, we planned to kind of take away the rubbish in our own vehicles. and take it to the local dump. But we didn't realise how much rubbish there was. So then we were going to get in touch with a local business to see if somebody could do it like for free as well, or for a reduced price for us. But then my partner has a sort of pickup truck, and I asked him if he could come along after work. And so he said he could. And so we loaded all the bags on. In fact, we actually had to keep them in the house because we had a few bags out the front as we were going through it. And the seagulls, after like 10 minutes, got to these bags and were trying to rip them open to get to what was
in them.
So we ended up having to keep them in like the front of the house. So when he got there, we must have loaded up about 30 bags or something onto this pickup truck.
No, I counted, and there was like 29 bags just from this kitchen alone.
And so we got to the local dump, and the man that was there was like, listen, you can't bring a vehicle in that size unless it's been booked in. So we were like, right, okay, what we're going to do? We tried to take it somewhere else, but realised that we weren't going to be able to take it there because of the type of rubbish it was. Obviously, it being like food waste and stuff like that. So what we had to do was go back to the house. We had to grab Steph. Me and Steph had to take our vehicles and follow the pickup truck back down to the dump. We had to unload the pickup truck and put it into our cars and go through the dump in our cars, which is a bit like, I don't understand why they couldn't have just let us away. Yeah, like we had to drive through the dump in the pickup truck to get back out anyway, so it's not like it didn't fit or anything like that. It's just one of those rules that is a rule that they have to kind of stick to, and it's not a great rule, to be honest. It's probably to try and stop loads of people coming at one time or whatever. And I think we done two rounds each.
Yeah.
And
we're traumatised. Absolutely traumatised. Like the reason we didn't...
I will never ever put someone else's rubbish in my car ever again.
Yeah, so the reason that we didn't want to put the rubbish in the cars in the first place was not because of the amount of rubbish, because we were fine to do multiple trips. It was because of the type of rubbish. So we already mentioned that we really were like freaking out at the like soggy, leaky rubbish. Well, even though most of these bags were double bagged, when we put them in our cars, they were leaking. There was maggots in Danielle's boot.
Yeah, that was not nice. I wanted to cry.
We had to get our cars valeted, but then I was too anxious to take my car to the valet because of the way you have to drive into it. So I was like asking my husband to do it, but then he was like, I'm not taking it there with it smelling like that. I'm like, well, it's gonna smell like that until it gets cleaned. So it was a catch-22. I had to drive around with my windows down and get the Febreze out, and I still feel like I can smell it. I get in my car and I'm like, nope.
I got in our car the other day though, and I don't feel like I smell it at all.
It's psychological at this point.
Yeah, I do definitely think it's up your nose or something.
Yeah, so...
But I had to take the bottom part of my boot out, so that obviously my spare tyre's in there, so that was totally exposed. And I took that round and that got shampooed and everything, but I could still smell it for a wee while after because I think my back seats were down. And I think it's maybe went on like the back of the seat when my seats were down. But after taking it to the kid's grand's house and getting all hoovered out, and she's got this thing that's Fabulosa.
Oh yeah.
And it's called unicorn dust or unicorn, and it smells like Parma violets, the sweeties. It is amazing. I
like the smell of Parma violets, but I don't know how I would feel about it as a cleaning product. I feel like
it's kind of like a spray kind of thing that you'd put in your car.
No, I like things to smell fresh. So like citrus or like clean air, like
cotton linen.
Yes, they're the kind of scents I like. I'm not too keen on sweeties or like flowers as well. Like I cannot stand coconut or lavender or even vanilla. I think coconut's one of those ones you either love or hate.
Coconut shampoo.
Oh no,
and coming out the shower and doing my hair and it's smelling all...
Oh no, I hate the smell of coconut. I'm glad I've not smelt your shampoo. No, my shampoo's apple, I think. I like fruit. Yeah. I like fruity smells. So this oven, it kind of got to this point. I had been cleaning it for a while. I had been scraping it, which Thank you, Carol Ann, for the scraping set. That is awesome. It's so much easier than the like paper scraper that we were using. So I was using that, and then it just got to a point where I was like, okay, it's better. It's not perfect. Maybe the next time I come, I can spend more time on it. But I was really kind of fed up of it at that point, and so I was still wanting to like pull it out and clean the sides and things like that. But as I had pulled it out, I cleaned one of the sides, and then that's when Danielle came in and says, "We have a problem, and we only
need to go."
Yeah, and we only had, was it 30 minutes before the dump shut?
45 minutes before the dump shop.
Yeah, so that was kind of the emergency about why we had to just leave.
Pick up and leave.
Yeah, and we felt like once we left and we'd taken off all our PPE and gotten in our cars, we were not planning on coming back. Like, if we hadn't had to stop and do that, we probably would have worked for another few hours.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we ran out of gloves as well. Remember, in that house?
Yeah, and I think I actually only had till about 5:30.
Yeah.
Because it was a Wednesday.
See, I didn't really
And
have
I
a
wouldn't have had
deadline time.
childcare. But
Yeah.
I would have had to leave at around 5:30 anyway.
Yeah. So we did as much as we could. And I feel like we cleaned for hours, but then it just didn't feel like we did a lot.
No.
And like, because you left the room and came back and I was like, yeah, you can notice the difference, but for me, it just wasn't
didn't feel like it.
Yeah, it wasn't a big enough difference.
For how long we were cleaning and how long we were actually there, it felt like we should have made so much more progress. But I feel like, so just gathering up all the rubbish alone took for ages. It was hours we were doing that for.
Yeah.
So
I think
it doesn't look like a lot, but it was a lot of work hours, a lot of time.
I think as well, we just need to be kinder to ourselves. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's because I really like the huge transformations. And you actually said during this clean that it's a good job I'm doing the cupboards. And I was like, what do you mean? Why?
Yeah.
And you were like, because it's not as satisfying of a transformation. Because you just know me so well. I like doing the really dirty stuff because I like seeing the transformations. Like, I don't mind getting in there and doing the toilets and the ovens, and I don't
mind doing stuff that you don't notice so much but needs done.
Yeah.
So
like the
cupboards
organising and the dishes.
Dishes, even like around windows. It doesn't look like that much of a transformation, but it does need a wipe, it does need a clean.
Yeah. And I think even like the way we clean our own houses, like, is the same, because I mentioned in a previous video that I'm a very visual cleaner. I like the things that are most noticeable, whereas you probably get to the nitty-gritty stuff a lot more than I do.
Yeah, and
the
I
fact
like
that you declutter every 3 months.
I like everything to be kind of organised. I like everything to have a space and a place. So if I go, where are my tweezers? I can be like, oh, well, they're in this cupboard, in this drawer. Like, I can tell you where pretty much everything in my house is.
Yeah. I remember when you came to my house and you were helping me with the laundry cupboard, and you opened it and you were like, I wish I hadn't agreed to do this.
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, what is going on? Where are the piles?
I mentioned in another video, the laundry folding one, that I wasn't, like, I cleaned, I folded towels incorrectly, and people were like, ignore the ones that say that. You're the one that said that to me. Anyway, sorry, we're at the end of the video now. It's actually gone by really quickly, this voiceover. I hope you've liked the voiceover and the cleaning, and I'm hopefully going to get Danielle in more often to do this.
Let us know how you liked it, and if you'd like it to be more like this more often, and we can just have a chat, and you can talk in the comments with us as well.
Yeah, so, and remember, these photos are the progress pictures, and we are hoping to go back and do more. And if you do like this kind of content, please do like and subscribe and comment as well, as it helps our algorithm. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye!